What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the BBQ Tips Podcast. I'm Christy Vanover, champion pitmaster, the girl behind one of America's top barbecue websites, girlscangrill.com, and a contestant on Food Network's Barbecue Brawl. I'm here to bring you quick barbecue tips to help you up your barbecue game. All right, guys, this week I want to talk to you all about the Jack Daniel's World Championship Invitational Barbecue. In my opinion, this is the most prestigious barbecue competition in the world, and here's why. To be selected for the Jack Daniel's Invitational is really challenging, really complicated. It combines a mix of skill, because you have to be a state grand champion, but it also requires a whole lot of luck. The reason I want to talk about this week is because today, the day that this podcast drops on August 8th, is the Jack Draw for the U.S. teams. So I want to explain to you how the Jack Draw works. There are going to be so many teams today just waiting by their computers, waiting for that Facebook post to let them know if they got the draw, if they're going to be invited to compete in this year's competition. The Jack Daniel's competition season is from August 1st to July 31st. So for this year's 2024 Jack Daniel's, it's for those competitions that happened on August 1st of 2023 all the way until July 31st of 2024. So it's kind of an off season, but those are the competitions that you have to have competed in order for you to qualify for the Jack. Before I talk to you about the criteria for the competitions that teams compete in order to get a draw for the Jack, I want to talk to you about the Bung, because you're going to hear that term when a team gets a GC. They'll say, yes, I have a draw for the Jack, or I have a Bung for the Jack. This is a Bung. These are my two Bungs from the Jack for the past couple of years. It's basically a piece of wood that goes into the side of the oak whiskey barrels, those barrels that are used to age that Jack Daniel's whiskey. These are the pieces of wood that go in the side of that. So when you get a GC at a qualifying comp, you earn one of these little coveted whiskey barrel plugs. So let me talk about what it takes for a competition to be a qualifier. There are quite a few little nuances and rules. First, any competitions that want to qualify for a draw to the Jack have to be conducted by a sanctioning body. KCBS is one of the most popular sanctioning bodies for the Jack Draw, but there are other sanctioning bodies out there that do qualify. If it's not KCBS, that competition is required to have a chicken, pork, and beef cook, and the teams have to compete in all three of those categories in order for it to be a qualifier. For KCBS, you have to cook all four meats in order for it to be a qualifier. Then it comes to how many teams are actually at the competition. If it's the first time a competition has ever been held, the organizer only has to have 15 teams. And that means 15 teams that all turn in, no DQs. You have to have 15 people basically finish the contest with all four meats to make it a qualifier. If the competition has happened for more than 1 year, if it's the second year, fifth year, 10th year, the organizer has to have at least 25 teams. That's the minimum, 25 teams that turn in all four meets and fully qualify. But that's not the only thing. The organizers are required to get a proclamation from the governor of the state where the competition is going to be held, and that proclamation has to state that that competition is a state championship. So again, 15 teams for a first-time contest, 25 teams for a second year or more contest, plus the proclamation from the governor. Now, if there's a competition that has 50 or more participants, they actually don't need the proclamation. And one more little wrinkle, if the competition is in its second year or third year, but it's the only competition in that state, there is only one competition happening that full calendar year, then they actually only have to have the minimum of 15 teams, but they do still require that proclamation from the governor. So when a team competes in one of those qualifying contests and they get GC, Grand Champion, they take first place overall. So long as it's a qualifying competition, they're going to get a Bung. And that Bung is going to be representative of the state where the competition was held. So I'm from Nevada, but if I compete in Utah and I win a contest in Utah, I'm going to get a Bung that's going to go into a bag for Utah. Then all of the other teams that win first place in Utah are also going to get a Bung, and those are all going to go into the Utah bag. Now, there are several competitions internationally now, and if you're an American and you win a competition overseas, then you will still get a Bung, but that's going to go into the bag for your home state. So again, I'm from Nevada, so if I won in Ireland, I'm going to get a Bung, and it's going to go in the Nevada bag. An American is not going to get a Bung in an international bag. Those are reserved for the international teams, and they have their own criteria. So again, if we win overseas, our Bung goes in our home state bag. Speaking of qualifying competitions, don't forget the BBQ Jackpot. That's a competition that I'm organizing right here in Las Vegas. It's going to be December 6th and 7th at the Bass Pro Shop. Registration for that is going to open up on Friday. All we need are 15 teams to make it a qualifier since it's the first year, and I've already asked for the proclamation from the governor's office to make it a state championship. We do have room for 57 teams, which I'm really excited about. I have a feeling that we might sell out, so make sure Friday at noon that you get on that website and get your registration in. And this year, we are only expected to have 2 competitions in Nevada, the one in Las Vegas and one in Boulder City. That means if you win one of those GCs, you're a 1 in 2 chance of getting drawn for the Jack. As I mentioned, the draw is happening on August 8th. So down in Lynchburg, Tennessee, there's a whole team of Jack Daniel's people there with all of these bags for all 50 states full of bungs. Now, there will be some states that maybe only have 2 bungs. Utah was an example. There were only 2 qualifying competitions in Utah this year, so there were 2 bungs in the bag. Nevada, there was only 1 competition. But then if you look at states like California, Texas, Missouri, you're going to find 10, 11, 20 bungs that could be in a bag. That's why teams travel across America. Because if you're a team in Kansas or even California and you've got 10, 15, 20 competitions, your chance of getting drawn is like 1 in 20. But if you travel to Utah where there's 2 competitions, or you travel to Nevada where there's 1, or Rhode Island where there's just like 1, then you have a chance. You got a 100% chance of getting drawn, or a 50% chance of getting drawn, instead of like a 5 or 10% chance of getting drawn. So that's why so many teams travel. They try to win bungs in the states where it's easier to get the draw. Now, before that team in Lynchburg starts pulling bungs out of the state bags, there are some bungs that are going to come out because they're auto qualifiers. But let me tell you, auto qualifying for the Jack is no easy feat. Here are some of the ways that you can be an auto. If you won the Jack last year, then you automatically get invited for the following year. If you win the Royal, Memphis in May, the Houston Rodeo, you also get an auto invite. If you've competed at the Jack for 9 years in a row, they automatically invite you to cook for your 10th year. And one of the super hard ways to get in is if you get 7 GCs at qualifying contests within the calendar year. That is like a GOAT level accomplishment. I know LC Barbecue just did that. They just got their 7th win, so they get an auto to the Jack. They don't have to worry about all the bags that their bungs are in. They automatically get invited. So all of those autos have their bungs taken out of the bags. So now there's maybe a little bit fewer bungs in the bags. So now they're gonna look, are there any bags here that just have 1 bung in them? If so, then that's also an auto. There's no need to draw, it's just 1 bung, so that's automatically gonna be in. So if that team automatically gets in, let's say a team won in Utah and there was 1 competition. Well, if that team also has a bung in California, Arizona, Kansas, they can take their bungs out of the California, Arizona, and Kansas bags because that person's already in Utah. Same thing with all the autos that I mentioned before. So that team that got 7 wins, LC Barbecue, all 7 of their bungs are coming out of the bags, which is a little bit better chances for the people who are left in the bags. Another way that you can get an auto is if you are the only team from your home state to win a GC. The Jack really wants representation from as many countries as possible and all 50 states if possible. A couple years ago, I was the only Nevada team to get a GC, so I was automatically invited to represent my home state. There is also a chance, though, that if 2 teams from the same home state get a GC, they may both still get an auto. If one of those teams has an auto because they were the only bung in a bag, or maybe they got the 7 wins or something like that, if they already had an auto, then the Jack will still choose the other remaining home state team to represent their home state. Because that person was an auto a different way, then they will take that second team from that home state to represent the home state. And actually, that's how I was able to compete last year. So Steve-O's Barbecue won a competition, and it was an auto because it was the only competition in the state. He's from Nevada. Well, I won a competition in California. Definitely not an auto. There's a lot of comps there. But because I was a Nevada representative and because he was a Nevada rep, his selection was an auto that left me able to represent my home state, which was pretty awesome that we both got to cook the Jack from Nevada. The crazy thing, though, about the Jack draw is the trickle effect. So once they start removing these autos and they start removing the bungs from the bags, it changes the draw completely. I'm going to give you an example of what happened this year. See if you can follow along because it's pretty wild. So Philip from LC Barbecue won his 7 bungs. He got the full 7, he got his auto invite. As I mentioned, all 7 of his bungs were removed from the state bags where he won. Well, one of his competitions was in Utah. Utah had 2 competitions this year. Vince from Rhythm and Q won one of the competitions, and LC Barbecue won the other competition. Well, now that LC Barbecue's Bung is removed from the Utah bag, that means Vince is the only Bung in the Utah bag, so he's an auto now also. Now, he happens to be from Arizona. 2 teams from Arizona won GCs this year. Well, because now Vince is an auto, that means that the other Arizona team, which is Smitty from Loot and Booty, can represent his home state of Arizona. So that means now he gets an auto. So Smitty has a couple bungs in as well. I think California, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. So now his bungs are coming out of those bags. So that makes the chances even better for the teams who are left in the bags. But that wasn't the end of the trickle effect with LC Barbecue's win. So Vince, who was in Utah, also won a competition in Montana. Well, since he already has his auto for Utah, his bung can come out of the Montana bag. So what's left in the Montana bag? 2 bungs from Bushmaster Barbecue. He's from Colorado, but he won 2 contests in Montana. Since he's the only one left in the Montana bag, he automatically gets his bung drawn, and he's now an auto for the state of Montana. I'm sure there were many more trickle effects similar to that, all stemming from the autos, because as I said, as they start pulling bungs out, as there's all these other autos, then it just trickles down over and over until they can finally narrow it down. So the Jack team looked at all of the autos earlier this week. They've already posted it. They do have an unofficial Facebook page. I will be sure to put a link in this post so that you can see that. They posted all the autos there already, and now on August 8th is when they're going to look at what bungs are left in the bags, and then they're going to go and draw those. I honestly don't know if they do it like alphabetical order or how that works, but I do know that like once they draw a bung, let's say they draw a bung from California and a team gets it, but that team also has bungs in other bags, they're going to take those bungs out of the other bags. So because you can only have 1 bung drawn, you don't need 2 drawn. So that also narrows down the playing field. But again, I'm not sure if it's alphabetical or how exactly that works. I'll have to ask Pam Hess over at the Jack team and figure that out. I am curious about that myself. But anyway, the draw's happening on Thursday. Everybody's super stoked about it. I know that they're going to announce those who are invited. I'm excited and anxious for my friends. I know that is a lot of information. It is pretty complex, but hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit. Bottom line is the Jack is really challenging to get an invite to. First, you have to win a state championship in a qualifying competition, and then you have to have your bung drawn, which is sometimes luck of the draw, sometimes auto, sometimes trickle effect. Either way, it is so prestigious to go to the Jack because it's so hard to get an invitation to it. And when you're down in the hollow and competing down there, there is nothing like it. It is just the most magical atmosphere. This year I won't be competing. I didn't get any GCs, but I will be judging, and I look forward to tasting the food from all of the teams that get the draw on Thursday. If you guys have more questions about this, leave me a comment. I can even reach out to the Jack team if you guys have questions that I don't know answers to. So happy to help. Now, if it's your dream to cook in the Jack and you haven't gotten your GC yet, don't worry, keep on pushing. Go to my website. I've got lots of tips there. Listen to my previous podcast. I share lots of information there, but also you're going to want to pick up this competition barbecue logbook. This way you can log all your scores. You can kind of go back and see what things you're doing right, what things you're doing wrong. This is available on Amazon. I'll put the link below. Also, I've got my steak cook-off logbook for those of you who do the SCA competitions. You're definitely going to want to pick those up. As always, guys, you can find thousands of barbecue tips and hundreds of barbecue recipes at girlscangrill.com. You can also find me on all the socials at girlscangrill. I hope to see you guys down in the hollow. Good luck with the draw on Thursday. Until next time, guys, happy grilling.